15, 4 and 5. John 15, 4 and 5. Abide in me, and I in you. Now this is Jesus talking. Abide in Jesus, and Jesus in you. Now to abide means to have permanent residence. It doesn't mean just, hi, it's Sunday morning, I come see you, Lord, for a little while. Hello? Abide. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except or unless it abide in the vine. No more can you except you abide in me. What happens to those pruned off vine parts that we lay down? They lay there, and their life goes out of them. I used to wish, when I was a little fellow, that those little tiny branches that were pruned off were eliminated immediately. Because my grandmother would take those about this long, pruned off those trees, and I don't care how fast I ran. You see, when we were little boys didn't wear long breeches. You know what I'm talking about? You got up several years old before you got long breeches on. And being the feisty child that I was, I just thought I knew everything. But Grandma Gorm, little bitty short round lady, fast as greased lightning. And I'd say something I wasn't supposed to say or do something I wasn't supposed to do. She always had one of those pruned off switches available. And I'd take off running. And she'd get right up behind me, and she'd hit me 1,000 times before I could get a block. Now, she wasn't drawing blood, and she wasn't turning me into some sort of a sadist. But I'll tell you one thing. I learned in a hurry. When Grandma was around, make sure there wasn't a switch anywhere or shut up. We have to abide in Christ. Permanent resident in Him. Him and us and Him. Together. Unity. You are the branches. He that abides in me and I in him, the same shall bring forth much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. Why is it so difficult to avoid temptation? Well, Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. See, God knows how weak we are. Jesus certainly knows how weak we are. You know how Jesus knows? Because He came to this earth as a baby, as a pure, 100% human being, and He walked the same path that you and I have to walk from the cradle to the grave. He walked it. He didn't walk it as a God. He walked it as a man. He forfeited His deity. He laid it aside. Say, Brother Bill, how can you believe that He did that, that He laid aside His deity? If He had not laid it, if He had not been whole man, 100% man, why did He go somewhere and pray to God? If He was already God Himself, there was no reason for Him to pray. There was no reason for Him to seek God. There was no reason for Him to petition God for whatever purpose that was going on in His life. If He was already, I've had so many people, He is 100% God and 100% man. That is a doctrine of the devil. It is not a biblical doctrine. He set aside His deity so that He could find out what temptation was like for us, so that He could understand and know the weakness that we have. That's compassion. That's love. That's the embodiment of how much God cares for us, that He wanted to know exactly how we feel, exactly how difficult it is, and truly how weak we really are. Turn to your neighbor, look him right in the eye, and say, I am weak. I didn't tell you to tell them they're weak. Did you know to enter into temptation you have to be led there? The Bible tells us that when Jesus had fasted for 40 days, He was led into the wilderness for the purpose of what? To be tempted. To identify with us. Watching what's going on in the world, if you don't combine that with fervent prayer, is not going to keep you from being tempted. I've heard people with all that's going on right now, all that's going on. Why is God allowing those Christians to be slaughtered by ISIS? Why is God allowing that to happen? And on top of that, why isn't the world rising up and squashing ISIS and getting them out of our world and eliminating them? Have you ever stopped to think that probably 2/3 of the world don't even know that ISIS exists? Yeah. Now think about it. We have all this television, we have all this news, we have all this internet stuff, but if you look at all the modern things that we have and use every day, 2/3 of the world doesn't have it. They don't even know what's going on down the road, let alone around the world. That's why mankind hasn't risen up against evil like ISIS and eliminated it, because most mankind doesn't even know it's there. But I've heard a lot of people around around my socioeconomic group and around my education group, I've heard statements like, well, let's just get all the rednecks together and give them their guns and let them go over there, and they can get it taken care of in about 2 hours. Isn't that amazing how quickly we can figure out how to do things when we're not praying, when we're not seeking God? I don't know how to handle the complexities of the political scene that's in the world today. I don't think anybody does. Amen. Including our president. Amen. Including our Congress and our Senate. I've been praying that God, please speak to our president. Yes. Speak to our Congress. Speak to our senators. And then God, help them to hear. Help them to hear. It's complicated beyond anything I know or understand. And I don't think anybody on this globe has a much better standing than you and I do. But God knows. So when we're going to pray that we're going to be led away from temptation, we have to believe that we're going to be led away from it. And then we have to take ownership of those things that we deliberately are holding on to and we're not turning over to God. The things that are the essence of creation in this area called lust.